Welcome everyone and Happy New Year, Happy 2020. It is a special year for us at MEF. It is 20 years since MEF was first established, so it's a bit of a celebration. We don't often talk about ourselves, and don't worry, we're going to have some of our advisors, some of our board members next to tell you what they predict, what they think is going to happen in these next 12 months. But I wanted some of your attention at the very beginning to say thank you for making MEF such an important element of the overall ecosystem for 20 years. There have been fantastic decades where we can talk about it. We'll write some of those experience. What stays for me here is a wish, I guess, for the next 10 years of MEF, for the 2020s, to become still a place to support the wide ecosystem, the mobile ecosystem, but not only by now, given that mobile is everywhere, in finding new solutions, new services, in creating a discussion place, a learning place, but overall, I think to make sure that we are true to the development of a long-term, sustainable ecosystem, we focus on doing the right thing for the consumer, for the industry. So a lot of things to do, but we'll start with the prediction for 2020. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Andrew Budd. I'm founder and CEO of London-based iProve, and since 2008, I've also been the global chair of the Mobile Ecosystem Forum. Indeed, I was privileged to be one of the founders back in 2001. iProve authenticates remote users online using face verification, and we're the world leaders in assuring the genuine presence of users for authentication and for identity verification. So my predictions for 2020 are very much about digital identity and authentication, which fits in with MEF's many activities in the area of the personal data ecosystem. I think one of the most interesting developments we're going to see in 2020 is the emergence of a true electronic digital identity industry. We've been talking about this for many, many, many years, the need for it, that is the ability to have a single identity which can be used by consumers in many different contexts in order to dramatically make their lives more convenient, but also enhance their identity security. That's always been clear, but there's never been a business model and never been any suppliers. From what I know, in 2020, we're going to start to see some serious players emerging with credible scaled offerings, really for the very first time. Now, they'll come in different flavors. Some will be national governments. There are some big things happening there. Others will be major commercial organizations, and MasterCard have already declared their very ambitious strategy in this area. But we're also going to see other companies coming into this space, sometimes from very unfamiliar areas. The thing that they'll have in common will be that they have compelling reasons for large numbers of consumers to sign up and establish identities with them. So in 2020, we're going to see electronic digital identity as a service emerge into the global mobile ecosystem for the first time. A second prediction, I think, is that we're going to see real action and real innovation in the area of strong customer authentication for banking. This is going to be driven by the implementation of the European Second Payment Services Directive, PSD2, whose provisions on strong customer authentication have been were widely ignored before their deadline in September 2019, but a new deadline in 2021 has been set and people will adhere to them, so expect lots of action in 2020 on that. And finally, I think we're going to see rapidly spreading acceptance of biometrics for the purposes of automated onboarding to meet a variety of international requirements to protect against fraud and money laundering. Things like AMLD 5 and 6, some new regulations coming out from the Financial Actions Task Force, Financial Financial Task Force, FATF. We're going to see great innovations in the European EIDAS space. In all of these, we're going to see, in many ways for the first time, the use of automated biometric onboarding in order to meet really very stringent levels of assurance. And that's going to be a new innovation. Again, it's something that's been talked about. The technology has been approaching for a while. 2020, we'll see that, I think, springing onto the stage in many countries and really changing the way that consumers go through that experience and changing the level of service that enterprises are able to provide. So a very exciting year in the area of electronic digital identity. These things, of course, all feed the personal data ecosystem space, because identity is just a set of attributes, a subset of all of the things that personal data provide. Issues associated with privacy, security, the balance between them, the rights of national states, centralized versus self-sovereign. These are major societal issues which will continue in 2020 to be broadly discussed at national and also international level. So it's going to be a very exciting year. Lastly, I think that we're going to see still further in public recognition of the incredible impact that deepfakes and their more modern incarnations, things like FS-GANs and so on, that is the ability to create synthetic imagery of people that is ultra realistic and yet gets them saying and doing things that they never intended to do. I think we're going to see wider public understanding of that and the impact of that kind of technology for fair and frankly for foul spreading very rapidly throughout the year. And that will have an impact upon the electronic digital identity and upon the biometric space that few have yet to imagine.
White. I'm the Mobile IoT Advisor at MEF, and I'm here today to give you the IoT predictions for 2020. Of course, IoT is a fast-growing area, and we're going to see 25 billion connected devices by 2025, a little bit beyond where we're looking at for 2020, but a number of hygiene factors need to be in place if this growth is to be achieved. The IoT Working Group focuses on a number of key issues from across the mobile IoT ecosystem. So my first prediction is in the area of IoT security, which is one of our major study areas. Enterprises are going to face considerable challenges for security breaches in 2020, and this will hamper the growth of the IoT system if these security challenges are not properly addressed. Much effort has gone into addressing security in the entire ecosystem, and MEF has also been putting a lot of effort into this with its working group members in terms of generating awareness, education, and looking at how enterprises and solution vendors are addressing this market. So we're looking at, in 2020, why security is such a critical issue in IoT solutions, and we'll see that enterprises will develop more understanding of how they can address security issues, and more importantly, they will start spending more money in this area to ensure that they don't become victims of security breaches, which can bring down a business. And there are examples of where this has happened over the past 12 months. So security is a critical issue, and we've been working alongside the GSMA in the security area, and we have endorsed their security guidelines as MEF. And these guidelines are very robust. You can find links to them on our website, and there are 85 detailed security recommendations that help enterprises overcome the security challenges and educate them on the best way forward for IoT security. So our second area of focus in terms of predictions is on IoT roaming, or achieving global connectivity. And our prediction is that 2020 will be a key year for growth of the mobile IoT roaming market, but it's not going to reach full maturity in that sort of time. And there are a couple of reasons why we're saying this. Firstly, we're seeing the emergence of some key segments that have a requirement for global connectivity, and these include aviation, transport and logistics, supply chain management, automotive. And what enterprises are saying is the solutions aren't necessarily in place to help them grow the key requirement that they have for global connectivity. We're seeing solutions start to emerge. MVNOs are making key strides in developing global IoT roaming solutions, and enterprises have been taking these up. What we're not seeing so much of is activity by the mobile network operators. Of course, they've been busy launching NB-IoT and LTE-M networks across their global footprints, and we've seen a number of roaming agreements appearing, but there's no cohesive solution from the MNOs at the moment, and the operators are pretty much focused on a wholesale opportunity in 2020. That's not to say that they will keep that position forever, and we do expect to see them making strides to address this lucrative market.
Hi guys, this is Rafael from Brazil. I'm a lawyer and run a law firm here working with technology, internet, media, and entertainment services and clients. My top predictions for 2020, the first one is Brazil and India won't be running the 5G bids for the new 5G services in these countries in 2020. And this will probably make us lag behind on the implementation of 5G. This is due mainly because there are several political and technical issues still to be resolved, and the countries are still on their own position taking in terms of the commercial disputes among China and the United States, and they're still waiting to see how this is going to be resolved, so they take their own positions on how to deal with that and how to implement those new 5G networks, which will be really, really expensive on those countries as well. My top prediction number 2 for 2020 and the mobile industry is since Brazil will have local elections, and this involves around 60,000 candidates all over the country. Facebook will probably use those elections as a test ground for their new tools that will try to stop the misinformation spread and fake news and deep fakes and everything else. And they will use like this massive local election to try to tackle all of those issues. And this will probably be their test case for other elections all over the world as we are moving forward to a digital election scene, okay? So to end it up, my top prediction, number 3 for 2020, is gonna be related to Brazilian MNOs and Latin American carriers all over the region. Right now, we have news already that all of the MNOs are focusing on Brazil, and especially on serving clients with 3G, 4G, and broadband offers with triple play offers. They're basically getting rid of voice services. They're not so important right now. And at the same time, they're starting to focus more on Brazil since they're seeing the biggest increase in revenues on a year-on-year basis happens in Brazil and not so much in the other Latin American countries that are lagging behind in terms of revenue growth because of all of the political, economic problems they are facing right now. So they're starting to focus more on video and broadband, either mobile and fixed ones, in Brazil, and starting to study if they should be working on the other Latin American countries as well. Okay. So that's it, guys, for me for the top predictions for 2020. I hope you all enjoy it and see you in the next year. Happy holidays for everyone from Brazil. Okay, enjoy and take care.
Hello there, this is Suresh Patel, General Manager of Messaging from Real Networks here in December of 2019, giving my predictions for 2020. As we're moving towards 2020, I think that there's going to be a move increasingly away from what we do today, which is very much templatized messaging, structured messaging that we send out as a value chain on behalf of our enterprise brands to their consumer customers. And I think it's going to become much more conversational as we move more into richer messaging, such as transport mechanisms like RCS. And as a result of that, I think that the enterprise brands will look to us as a value chain to be able to give more insight. And that insight is going to be, what's the consumer trying to achieve? So what's their intent? and what's the sentiment of that intent. And as a value chain, I think we're going to spend more time looking at those kind of things so that we can inform our enterprise customers what their consumers want to achieve from a messaging conversation.
Hi everyone, it's Jason on here from MEF Mobile and a board member of MEF to give you my predictions for 2020. So my first prediction for 2020 is that consumers are going to transition from text to tap. This is they start to favour more conversational messaging channels offered by the brands. I say this because we're already starting to see this in the market, particularly as consumers start to favour the conversational messaging channels such as Apple Business Chat, RCS, Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp. Yeah, it varies by territory, but we're seeing growth in this area. The smartphone generation expects to be able to interact with companies in the same way as they would with friends and family. And today, this is very rarely done via traditional SMS. As such, mobile interactions will improve with less restrictions, such as character limits, basic plain text, those kind of things. So becoming richer, more immersive and conversational, presenting brands with an opportunity to increase their reach and raise the customer experience bar even further. My next prediction is in relation to RCS, which, to no surprise to most people here, will gain further momentum. We are seeing increased traction of RCS in the market and continue to see some great use cases rolling out. With the passion of the ecosystem, be that from the GSMA, the mobile operators, Google, service providers, etc., we are seeing the value return to consumers and brands and expect significant growth next year. So my next prediction for 2020 is around centralized communications platform approach. Moving forward, there's really no excuse for companies failing to adopt these new communications channels such as Apple Business Chat, RCS, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, etc. These proactive two-way communication becomes a necessary differentiator and evolution for new messaging channels as driving this change. Therefore, companies can no longer rely on this traditional communication and development methods. And they need to be able to roll out these services quickly and effectively, maximizing those capabilities for their clients. At the same time, companies must be able to pull together data from these different channels so they can have a channel agnostic view of customer interactions. Through adopting a centralized communication platform approach towards interactive customer communications, companies were able to view and manage all channels centrally while being able to add new ones and associated customer journeys much more rapidly. And another prediction for 2020 is that customer self-service is going to become more intelligent. What do I mean by that? Well, companies understand the significance of self-service when it comes to delivering a great customer experience and improving operational efficiency and reducing costs. So in 2020, with further advances in AI and automation, the drive for much more intelligent levels of customer service will be realized. This will enable customers to do more themselves at their convenience without having to change communication channels mid-journey, interact with a different department, wait days or even weeks for a transaction or interaction to be completed. The journey will become easier for consumers.
Hello and welcome again. MEF covers a lot of ecosystems and topics, and I think we do need to mention very briefly what might happen in content, advertising, and payments. Wow, we have a couple of minutes to cover some of the most exciting areas in terms of development, new ideas worldwide. Okay, very few selections of predictions that might happen next year. We do believe that payments is, and fintech in general, is enjoying a fantastic time, and the maturing of some of the solution is very true. In terms of banking, in terms of financial, in terms of payments, we're going to see a much more of a cohesive strategy between traditional banks and new ones, and new payment solution, I should say right now. Pick the difference, pick your terminology. An area particularly to look at in terms of this development and great new maturity is Africa. We have reported, and Africa is actually a fantastic area for the unbanked, and is a lot of the development in terms of startup and financing goes to these solutions. So keep your eyes on the African continent. Lots of exciting things, and maturity in terms of numbers will be coming in 2020 from them. I could not say something about content. Has been for the last few years, content in mobile and content in the content ecosystem has bloomed again, thanks to the advent of the on-demand solutions, Netflix, etc. Video has been the focus, and the music for the last few years. Something that will be in 2020 much more under the radar, and the view of many of us will be games. Expect games to have a new season, and obviously the on-demand solution that have been kicking on in and out are once again growing. Google is also putting some attention to that, early attentions. We'll see and we'll report on that. And finally, I'll talk about advertising, but going back to the music and to the video point, we believe that in 2020, advertising will play a bigger role in some of the freemium roles or freemium services for content, video, and TV as well as for some of the already existing music services. So the source of advertising is now going back to paying for some of the premium services. On demand are still there. Are these predictions real and accurate? Only the time will tell you, but we are going to cover them step by step in the different developments through our MEF different advisory services. So please stay with MEF and let us know your opinion on what's happening in this free important ecosystem. Thank you very much.
My name is Daniele Menzi. I'm the CEO of Nexthash. Nexthash is a fiat crypto exchange and custodian provider, which is fully regulated in EU, which is embracing a new challenge to create a new model of a regulated token and every type of crypto and non-crypto assets to be traded on the secondary market. My main role here within the mobile ecosystem forum is to bring blockchain understanding in industries, which is trying to adopt new technology innovations like what blockchain is bringing. So my prediction for 2020 is twofold. Number one, so I strongly believe there will be a progressive regulatory improvement across the globe, mostly in Europe, GCC, and in the US. So in fact, what I believe is going to happen progressively is a clear regulatory landscape. Across 2019, there was significant development despite what the industry believes. As you probably read, so some EU countries adopting a very, very innovative approach towards new crypto assets and general digital assets, like Germany. So BaFin has just issued a new guidance to welcome new businesses in Germany. So this means, number one, my main prediction will be there will be a regulatory progressive approach to welcome and to adopt new technology innovations surrounding blockchain, starting from crypto assets, digital assets, traded onto platforms like ours, Nexthash. And number two, we will see much more adoption of retail-focused applications, which deliver the promise of increasing security and increasing speed of transaction in retail businesses. So one simple example is so the tokenization of any type of assets, which will use the blockchain to fundamentally solve so the speed of processing. So to settle a transaction will be much faster. And number two, we believe, a much more market efficiency to allow an owner of an asset, which is sit down anywhere in the world, to be able to trade these assets globally, regardless of the jurisdiction, where the asset is and where the money comes from.
2019 has been an extremely exciting year of achievement for the MEF, and I'd like to pay tribute to the whole team led by Dario and Joanne. They've done a fantastic job. I'd like to pay tribute to the board of directors who have committed so much time and energy to helping to drive the organization forward, I think 2020 is going to be a great year for the MEF, a year of achievement and of expansion and of relevant impact worldwide.
Well, with that, we conclude the predictions for 2020 at MEF. Our traditional predictions. Also comes the opportunity for me to say thanks again to you. And thanks again to the different advisors, to the board members that help us in starting the debate, in providing new learnings, new experiences. Here for 2020, we'll have more of that. In MEF, we're going to have our working groups, we're going to have our discussions and our blogs for your ideas as well. So please do get in touch with us. Do let us know. If you don't like some of these predictions, do tell us, do comment. We want to have an open dialogue with all of our members and the ecosystem in general. So we're looking for your comments. Meanwhile, have a fantastic 2020.